Welcome to another edition of Sami Says. This is Almus Jamil Sami. We're going to talk about the importance of research and study. And Smokey, you and I were talking about the voters' right.
The voter ID.
And you came across an organization that's behind all of that.
It's pretty concerning to me. I spent 24 years in the military fighting for this thing that I've been told since I was a little kid in America, the American dream, the American way, the democratic process. And I was concerned as an African American, based on our unique history and the struggles that we did up until the last 40 years to get the right to vote. Now, the 13th, the 14th, and 15th Amendment was established, this is 2012, it was established in 1865, 66, and 67, which gave us first the citizenship, the 13th Amendment, which gave us certain rights, civil rights, 14th Amendment, and voting rights, 15th Amendment. But for the next 100 years, until through the civil rights movement of the 1960s, and 50s, and 60s, we had to struggle, and many people died to live those amendments. And we became complacent in the last 40-something years. You know, we became citizens in 1865, even though we talk about 1776. We were not citizens of America. In 1789, the Constitution was ratified, but it did not make us part of this democracy. And it didn't make Native Americans, which you have blood with, you know, at part, you know, Native Americans and African American. So we had to struggle to gain that. All the other interest groups that came about that are now under the laws that were passed to give us rights, all right, whether Native Americans or African Americans or even people with disabilities. This was not all part of the 1789 Constitution, but they gave us a system that if you are active, become an activist, a progressive, that means to progress and encompass each interest group under the auspices of these laws. But you had to work at it. You had to struggle. It wasn't easy. And to see a lot of these things in 2012 being threatened got my concern, got my knowing this history.
What did you find?
I find that it's being attacked. See, freedom is not free. Part of being free is another part of the equation. You must, freedom plus vigilance equal continuation.
There's an organization called ALEC.
And that's what I found. And that's what I found. I wanted to give a drop for why I feel the way I feel. Right. Because I'm not saying it because I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm knowing it because I know what it means to be an American. And I know what this American system and what it entailed to get to this point, even though we're not there yet. That the struggle and those who came before me and died, it's my watch. And me and those who are around in this time, in 2012, we have a duty to maintain, it's our watch to make sure that the struggles of our ancestors are not going to vain. And when I see what's going on in all over America under these conservative legislators who are, first of all, trying to roll back the Voting Rights Act, right, which they're using these ID terms, even though there's no indication that there was a need for it, and also what they're doing to women's rights. And all these other things that are popping up, I was curious about what's going on. I don't remember these things happening, but I found out they have been happening. They've been happening quietly. And one of the gifts, I guess, of the President Barack Obama administration was that what used to be code, what used to be done secretly, is coming more and more to the surface because of his bully pulpit. Right. Because of what they're saying about him and to him and the conversations that are circling around this man's administration is bringing to the surface many of these things that were pretty much hidden. Now, ALEC is the acronym for the American Legislative Exchange Council. And this is a private entity. This is not a lobbying group. This is not a think tank. But it's powerful. It is made up of legislators, state legislators and federal legislators, you know, national legislators in Congress and Senate, and corporate entities. It is funded by, you might have heard of these brothers, Koch brothers.
Right.
They formed the trust, and so they have powerful money, and many corporations are also on these committees, and they're members, and mostly conservative legislators are members of ALEC, okay? And what ALEC's purpose is to write legislation based on these conservative ideals, which will go against your ideals and my ideals, but these so-called conservative ideals, and pass them through the state legislatures, and also they can through the national legislation in Washington.
When was this group formed?
This group was formed back in 1973, and the founding members, two of them I think I know, is Senator Hyde. You might be familiar with the Hyde Amendment. He was the founding, and can't remember the name, but he's the founder of the Heritage Council. All right, which is a think tank. But they formed this secretive, nebulous, cloudy, behind-the-scenes organization that's known as ALEC today. You could Google it up and find out. But the thing that I found that was kind of scary is that, in fact, the Hyde Amendment, which you might not know, is an amendment that came out in 1976, which was a conservative pushback to the abortion bill amendment that was done in 1973. And the Hyde Amendment, so when you hear your politicians today and your presidential Republican candidates and others are saying that they don't fund, the federal government doesn't fund abortions and any of the things that they sponsor, it's because of the Hyde Amendment. It's not an amendment, a permanent amendment, it's what they call a rider. And a rider is anything that's attached. I could have a highway bill in Washington, and they could attach an amendment to that thing and it rides along, and that's what this Hyde bill does. So they can attach it to anything, and that's how they have been blocking a lot of the things that President Obama had done. They would put these riders on that has to do with birth control or whatever. Right. Some of the laws passed. This ID law was passed, written by this ALEC, and given to these legislators in the various states that passed these laws.
Wait a minute. So this organization full of corporations are actually writing the laws.
Mm-hmm. And giving it to the legislators who are also a member of ALEC.
Laws like what?
Well, you got the law that was passed in Arizona dealing with profiling. That's been controversial in the last year.
Right, right.
The photo ID law that is going around all over the country that is going to eliminate millions of black elders, students, was written by ALEC.
Okay.
Giving you an example, the women's penetration, the ultrasound law that are being did in Florida, that's passed here in Texas, all were formed not by some legislative democratic system, but by these members of ALEC. And what they do that's scary, they have made an agreement, if you read their history, that they would, during every legislative cycle, they put at least 1,000 bills, and these bills are called model bills. And what they mean by model bills is if one of those bills passed through, say, in Nebraska, okay, it becomes the model that is used all over the country.
Gotcha.
All right, so they get together and they have these little councils all over the country that state legislators meet and federal legislators meet with corporate entities who supposedly don't have a vote, but if they're lobbying their elections, then they have a lot of power. The scary thing that gets to me is that we call ourselves a democratic system, but when I read the definition, Google the definition of fascism. Fascism is a system of government in which a corporation and the legislative body of a country work in tandem. And they're basically an authoritarian. So that narrow view of the government that is formed by these people leaves out a whole lot of the population. And through that government, which has coercive power, their ways and their ideas are what is put into law. Yeah, and that's called fascism.
You're talking about Germany back in the...
That's an example of fascism, or Japan, or Mussolini's Italy.
Okay.
Those are fascist countries, and that's what we supposedly fought World War II against.
But as of 1973, we've become more and more of a fascist.
Yes, we still have the illusion of a democracy, and the power of the people is still there, because you have a dictator in a fascist state.
Okay.
But we have the embryo, if we allow organizations like ALEC to dictate these state laws. And that's what's scaring me, because the one thing about the conservative movement, because I was wondering what they're going to conserve. Like I said earlier, the Constitution was established so that the process is that we, as people who are outside the Constitution, Native Americans, will have become activists, or African Americans. We became activists in the 1800s and 1900s, and we're still being activists today to get certain things and our interests into play and become law that helps our people, help our interests. And that's the way the democratic system is supposed to be established. But if we have this entity that is not voted in, that is not even known in the public discourse.
Like ALEC.
Yeah, they're doing things behind, because all these meetings are in secret. Okay? And they're passing laws that are on the books to this day. It's going with the Hyde Amendment back in 1976 to 2011 and 2012 with these Voting Rights Acts and these ID laws and these ultrasound things and many more that we don't even know about that are affecting our day-to-day lives. And that's scary. That's fascism. That has nothing to do with democracy. It's an illusion of democracy because we think it's going through the legislative process, but the people who bring those bills to go through the legislative process get their marching orders from ALEC.
And they were relatively incognito up until the election of Barack
Obama. And they started pushing these because they figured they miscalculated in a way. So like what going on in Wisconsin with Governor Walker, he overstepped.
Right.
And they miscalculated.
He made them panic.
Yeah, because it made it so obvious. They became hubris in a sense, you know. And what people mean by hubris is thinking more about yourself than you have, having a higher idea. And that white male conservative idea that my way of seeing is the way that I want. Because they really believe in this. There is a delineation in what is the American dream, what is said in the words of the Constitution, that all men, that means my interest, your interest, we are Americans, regardless of how my interest might differ than your interest, but we have a political process. Instead of battling out on the fields of some battle somewhere, we do it in the legislative process. But they circumvent that. And when they circumvent that, that means they are at war with us, with our way of doing things. And if we don't wake up to that truth, we'll find ourselves like the Germans found themselves. I call it a good example of that. I call it the Hitler phenomenon. When you talk about Hitler and the Nazi regime, people don't realize that in 1933, when he came into office to become chancellor, he was voted into office. Okay? He was under a democratic system that he was voted in. But prior to 1933 elections, his group was similar to what I would call the Tea Party group. They were talking nationalistic ways. They were looking at the struggles of what was going on in the world was the collapse of the economic system, the Wall Street crash of 1929. All right? So they used that thing, just like what happened in 2008 here. And they used the economic problems that were going on, the housing bubble and all that in 2010 to come into office. You have all these Tea Party people and a lot of Americans who are complaining today, you know, about Governor Walker, Tea Party. A lot of the legislators, Brown, who's in Virginia, who signed that ultrasound law, Tea Party. All these congressmen and senators, they all came in under this auspices of economics. That's the way the Germans did and the Nazis did in Europe.
So they got a black man in office that made them panic, and then they lost their incognito effect and overstepped their boundaries. Now they've woken a sleeping giant.
Exactly. That's the people and what you see in the streets and the movement. And plus they underestimated the Facebook phenomenon and all these things. So they didn't put that in their calculation. That's the problem with hubris. You're in your little cocoon and you've been having your way for decades. They've been secretly putting these little wars in, doing this subtly. But I think they might have thought the time was right because they thought that they could get most of white America to panic and do it. So that's why they come out and more aggressive in the kind of legislative bills that they put forth. You know?
They underestimated the fact that this country is now such a web that you pull one string, you're pulling the string
exactly.
that
And you have generations of young white women who were born after 1976 who are now in their 30s who've been using birth control and other kind of things that have certain freedom that they don't know any other way, and you want to bring them to a time before they were born? They're trying to bring us back to 1855. For a black person. Well, why would we want to go back? Why do we want to conserve? When you hear a conservative say, go back to a time when America has always been progressive.
Interesting.
That's what makes American the idea that I was in the military to uphold was because of it being progressive. From 1776, when you had only 5% white male landowners who were allowed to vote, to 2012, where every American citizen allowed to vote, is a progression.
And that is, in a word, American exceptionalism.
Yes. That's what we consider American exceptionalism. But the people who corrupt that word, who are members of ALEC and who are so-called conservative, who want to go back to a time, and they're usually white and male and at a higher class level, want to go back to a time when the blanket of democracy didn't cover everybody. When the money that is being used to enhance part of the progressive thing, you are my brother. That's a spiritual part that should be incorporated, not religious part, but the human spirit should be incorporated in any kind of legislative power. The humanity. And that's a spiritual concept. So that's what, if there are any political science majors out there that are young in college, this is a good thing to deal with. To do more research. And I am not a political science major, but I'm self-educated. And that's what they don't want to do, is to have an educated population. That's why the public school system was established in the early 1800s, because Jefferson said himself that in order for us to become a viable democracy, those bills and laws that we who are legislating must come under the scrutiny of an educated population. And then they, through their knowledge, determine whether that's good for them or in their interest.
See, one of the things I like about our conversations is that even though Thomas Jefferson was a corrupted...
Oh, yeah. Misogynistic, slaveholder.
Yeah. Even though he was all of that, you still find something that he said that is germane to your struggle today that we should pay attention to.
And that's
in other words, you didn't just blow this guy off or write him off in a negative way because of what he stands for.
Exactly.
In other words, you could throw away 80% of the guy, but that 20% might be something you need.
And that's the power. Why do you think history is taken out of our schools? Because history, like Malcolm said, of all our studies, history is best prepared to reward our research because of that fact. I could use those techniques. That's what history does. It shows you techniques. It shows you situation that you can see in your own reality now. And you use techniques, and you can see what happened in those techniques, and you can adjust it to your time. That's the power of knowledge. Knowledge is power. That's what those certain words. If you don't know your past, you are threatened to repeat. And that's what I'm seeing. What I'm seeing with the Tea Party movement and with the ALEC, I'm seeing a fascist system that's taken root in America the same way that the Nazis took root in Germany. The problem was not Hitler. If we deal with any of these Republican candidates, and we have a Republican House, we have a Republican Senate, and we have a Republican conservative presidency and Supreme Court, are we going to have a democratic system, or are we going to have ALEC, who is sponsored by the corporation whose only human interest is profit?
So that shows, without a shadow of a doubt, how absolutely imperative it is for us to vote.
Hello, the weapon, we're at war. The war is not on the streets, it's in the legislative process.
Well, I hear a lot of brothers say, oh man, I ain't voting, man, that's just, And
they're the same ones complaining about what they're not getting, the system doesn't work for them. Of course it's not work for them. It's going to work for the group that can manipulate the system to work for them. So if you don't, the system that was established in 1789, know your history, was a system in which your interest group, they understood that there's going to be interest groups. People with interest. You got black interest, Native American interest, corporate interest, sea interest, those in the Midwest, farming interest. Whoever is an American is going to have his interest. The farmer is going to give a damn at what happened in the streets of New York City, okay, or in Harlem. Your interest, you have a dialogue. The democratic system is a perpetual dialogue. If you ever watch C-SPAN, what do you see when a bill is being produced? You have senators get up in front of there and they talk, they dialogue, yay or nay, and come on. That's the process. But if you don't make sure that they have your interest in from a local level, because that's how the conservatives have been doing. It's been a 30-year process, long term. Those generations that are in office now started as on school boards in their local area, were city managers.
Right.
You know, they started at the local. All politics is local. And then they made it through the process to the national Democratic or Republican office. And then they became congressmen and senators, you know, and whatever.
So really the key to ALEC is that they started on a local level and worked their way up.
Yeah. Yeah. And they had an ideology. It's always been, fascism has been around since the Romans. The fascists, the word fascist comes from the bundle that the Roman legion came when they conquered the land. The fascists, tied together, bundled together. And if they bundle together their particular ideas, then we lose our democratic process. We better wake up. Because they want you to sleep.
On that note, I'm going to let you go. Now, you know, the audience gets a chance to see where I hang out with you. I learn something new every time. Thank you, man. God bless you.
All knowledge is power, bro.
Hetep. Peace.
Hotep. Bye-bye.